My Buds Hell Week. When you look into SEAL selection, often what comes up is Hell Week. Some of you may know about it and some may not. So let's dive into it. Hell Week is exactly that. Hell. It sucks. But a lot of people don't know where it falls in the selection pipeline. They think it's just some big major piece. And it is. It is a major hinge point where the percentage of you finishing buds successfully is increased tremendously if you pass Hell Week, right? Just as far as the numbers game goes. My Buds Hell Week was very uncomfortable. So, leading up to that, we started with, a few hundred guys pretty much coming out of Great Lakes, Illinois, where we had flown from Buds Preparatory School. And they start hacking it down, right? They start chopping with the numbers and the tests and this, and you fly out, and some guys quit even before Bud starts, and indoctrination. And then we're classing up with about 285 guys, right? We're classing up and going into actually first phase, go from about 285 to about 185 by the time of first phase. So just 3 weeks, there was a big chop of about 100 guys. Some quit, some, just wanted to get it to San Diego to get a different job or whatever. And then you have 3 weeks until Hell Week of first phase. And it's carnage. It's carnage all those days. And Hell Week starts, it's a Sunday night. Sunday evening. You show up and they put you in just a room, kind of holding for a breakout where you kind of are about to, start getting after it. And you're kind of in this, let me paint the scene of, you're nervous as shit, man. I don't care who you are. Everybody's nervous as shit. Quiet chatter. Everybody's kind of relaxing in this room. You're laying on the floor. They check what kind of stuff you have on to make sure you don't have, any not allowed type of compression shorts and things like that. Like everybody's got to be pretty uniform. They're checking all that stuff. And you're just in this holding room and they're waiting for it to get dark, that period of darkness. And trying to take a nap if you can, and boom, breakout happens. Chaos occurs, a lot of blanks being fired out of Mark 48s. Smoke, just water, and just climb. It's pretty rough. It's a chaotic event, but you kind of know the game by that point. The instructors that they bring in additional instructors for SEAL Hell Week, and you're going from Sunday night and you're moving into the evening. And that first evening, it's carnage all over. You're running with boats, you're going all night, and you don't stop. You are not stopping ever. You're moving, you're wet the entire time, you're shivering all the time. And then the sun comes up, and then you're eating and going right back into it all day long. Different evolutions, all of it wet, all of it pretty miserable. And they're cycling through the instructors. So it's a 24-hour cycle. They're doing shifts just so they're fresh and we're going. And they have hydration stations as they're running you, and you shove some bars in your mouth and keep going and pound some Gatorade. Sometimes they'll give you MREs, and when they're giving you MREs, you go in the water and you sit in the water and you eat your MRE, in the fucking ocean. Not very fun. Now, you do some events where you're stripping down, getting in the water that night, treading water. And I won't get into the specific names of each event, but just know they're all cold, they're all wet, you're always running. Everything's a competition, right? So they're giving your boat teams. You're in a boat team, so you're carrying a boat with 7 dudes, and you're rowing, you're running with this boat on your head. And for people that don't know about running with a boat under your head, you have 3 lines of guys, 2 in the front holding the boat, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the back. And you might have, the 7th guy in the back, the coxswain, who's the guy that steers or whatever. He's kind of got it a little better for the weight of the boat, the distribution of the weight of the boat. It's pushing down on your head. The 2 spot is the worst spot because it's the most weight. The front smashes on your head. The 3 in the back is and you do not want to be a boat ducker or somebody in the boat who's doing this, right? A boat ducker is one of the worst human beings known to man. Because what is he? Not a fucking good team player, right? He's not a good teammate. The minute he takes his head off the boat, everybody else is carrying more weight. Man, what an interesting analogy for life is don't be a fucking boat ducker, man. Carry your weight. And that weight is no joke. That weight is powerful, man. Out-of-body experience pain for anybody that hasn't really done it. Sprinting with the boat on your head, running long distances with a boat on your head. It is seriously, seriously painful. Everybody who's gone through BUD/S will tell you how bad a boat on your fucking head is. It is not cool at all. Guys have bald spots on their head after Hell Week from the boat rubbing so bad on the top of their head. You know that guy's not ducking boat. So, as you're rolling into Wednesday, now the guys who are committed are pretty much there. And they're going to give you a time to sleep, right? You're running this whole time. Now it's an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, something like that, where you sleep in a tent kind of on the sand out on the fucking, on the beach. And dudes are doing this while they're sleeping, right? The body's healing. The body's in such massive, you have skeletal muscle breakdown occurring. Your body is absolute push to its maximum. Coming up by the time they give you that first rest period, you need that healing period. They have this shit down to a science. Then, what do you know? Boom, you're waking up again. They're yelling at you, and now you're running. Where? To go get wet in the ocean. And it starts again. The test, the buddy carries, the running in the sand, the getting wet and sandy. You're constantly covered in sand, constantly chafing. Some people don't understand about the chafe, man. The chafe is so significant. Some guys have to get skin grafts after Hell Week on the inside of their legs. I mean, my dick was chafed raw from the salt, the sand, and just the constant rubbing against the compression shorts. They even issue cock socks. That's like a mesh thing to go on your dick so it doesn't get so chafed. That's a real thing. And not a joke. Now, you have some medical checks, right? Right before that kind of sleep period, they'll cycle you through medical checks and just make sure you don't have MRSA, some type of bacterial infections, things going on, jungle rot on your feet because you're wet the entire time. You put dry clothes back on, and it is a moment where you can't really understand how good a dry pair of clothes feels until you've gone through Hell Week, or especially at that time in Hell Week. It feels so unbelievable to have a dry pair of camis on. I couldn't even explain it to you. And when you're walking out of there, what do? The instructors have a hose, man. Hose you right down to suck your soul right out of your body and make you remember where the fuck you're at. So then you're back at it. Now you're going into more evolutions, but they kind of know the guys that are there. You're doing an around the world, a paddle event, which is actually kind of interesting because as you're rounding, you go out in the ocean, you round San Diego Bay. Man, it's kind of, you're hallucinating by this point. And this is one of the last nights. It's like Thursday going into Friday. And man, I was seeing upside down Buddha. I don't know why, in the clouds. That's what I was seeing a lot. And a lot of guys see chain link fences in the ocean. Dudes will stand up and be poking with their oar, and be like, hey, we got to get the fence. Dudes are out of their fucking minds. You're hallucinating, hardcore. Dudes will be rowing, and then you'll just hear a splash, and you'll look back, and the dude just fall asleep and fall out of the boat into the water. Instructors are in kayaks, and they'll just come over to you, tell you to dump boat. And what dump boat means is you're rowing, and they look at you, and they just think you're fucking too comfortable, and they just tell you to flip your boat over, and everybody get in the water, and then you flip the boat back over just so everybody's soaking wet. It's middle of the night, by the way. But there's some cool moments in around the world where I remember looking out at downtown San Diego and being like, man, we're really here doing this. It's quiet. We're out here on boats. And then you get guys from previous classes that'll come up and swim you out food. They'll have wetsuits on, throw in hamburgers and stuff because they know you're going to be rounding about that time. And it's they'll throw you chew and fucking cigarettes or whatever, just to kind of like that's cool piece, man. Just that team effort. And then you round about and you do some stuff all the rest of the night, and then you come and you run back up the next day, and you're secured Friday. So you were up Sunday till Friday with maybe an hour and a half here, an hour and a half there to kind of sleep in the sand on the beach, and you're not barely sleeping. And you have been so freezing so long, my dude's hip flexors, you can barely stand up. Your hip flexors are so tight from your body being for days, and you can barely walk. Dudes are you're hobbling. You can, if you're down on a knee, you need help getting stood up. And after you go through that with people, there's a bond that's created. And there's guys that were on my Hell Week class that we always will have that bond, right? So a lot of guys got rolled out for injuries, and some of the guys you saw finish with some serious injuries, stress fractures and things. And then you have all the rest of the buds. 5 more months about, right? 5 more months. So you realize that this shit never stops, right? You're never going to hit that pinnacle. And there's a thing called post-Hell Week depression, which is a real thing, where guys go so down on this, so they pass Hell Week and they're elated, and then they kind of fall off, and you're like, fuck. And I experienced that too. You're like, man, dude, now I got all this ahead of me. You're never going to arrive at that pinnacle and feel complete. So stop seeking it. To seek is to suffer. Once you're on that correct path, be on that correct path. Be grateful for that path. Appreciate the wins, big and small, in between. Appreciate the journey you're about to go on to that next horizon. Because there's always going to be a next horizon if you're living correctly. If you have that seed of ambition planted in your heart, that seed to be better, to do better, to offer more. To your family, to your communities, to the fucking earth. And don't get down on yourself about having achieved something and what it's going to take to achieve the next thing, or how long it's going to take to achieve the thing you're seeking or striving for, I should say. You eat the elephant one bite at a time. 1 foot in front of you, 1 foot in front of you. Enjoy that walk. Take pride in doing the small things correct. Simple things should be done with great attention. Being present on your path. That's the way to true enlightenment, is to maintain presence. Right? Don't think too far forward and definitely don't think back. I heard some guy said, if you got 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot into tomorrow, you're taking a shit on today, man. So don't do it. Stay present. Enjoy the path. Be smart out here.